Chapter 2. Deep Six, bitch. After some circumnavigation, I now stand before the hatch to the line shack, and from the sound of the commotion I hear brewing within, I know once inside I won't be alone. Motherfucker! Blasts forth someone on the other side of the hatch, and now I'm left questioning my convictions of whether or not it's worth heading in and placing myself at the mercy of those bloodthirsty pirates I call my fellow shipmates, since truth of the matter is, I really shouldn't be down here. For truth of the matter is, I'm right now doing what's considered by Navy slang terms as skating. And if you didn't catch the drift of what it meant before, it's pretty much neglecting one's duties. And in my case, neglecting to man my aircraft out on the flight deck throughout the course of my shift entirely, which is what I'm lawfully ordained to do as a plane captain. And there are consequences to be met if I'm discovered. Motherfucker! Blast the unknown figure that waits within as the hatch jots a bit in place from his wrath. Also, there is another matter that's got me hesitating to move onwards, which is something much more sacred to me in these fleeting moments. My willingness to not deprive myself the comforts of being by my lonesome out here, standing in this dimly lit passageway, within the confines of my own solitude and safety. You see, living on a ship with 4,000 other squid dicks like myself, I can't turn a corner without bumping into some Joe Navy prick that would then stop to wonder who I am, where I'm going, and where I've been, as I pass him or her by. So any time spent hidden from their prying eyes is a precious one, and now the idea of being deprived of the little time I now have left has me growing faint of heart. Call me a pussy, I don't give a shit, for these moments really are worth that much to me. And as I turn and motion with my left foot back the way I came, I then pictured old Genghis with his buddy Attila, waiting outside on the flight deck for me, while sharpening their blades between the gaps in their teeth. Oh, fuck that. I ain't heading outside to freeze my nuts off for not another minute, not another second. I'm going in. The hatch isn't fully shut tight. The latching mechanism is broke somehow. But knowing the USS Jimmy Carter's stance when it comes to matters of maintenance, if it's broke, don't fix it. I know better than to question things when they malfunction around here, and it really would be just out of place to see any machinery on board kept in tip-top operational condition. So as I grab the handle to operate it, it makes an unholy cranking sound as it bends in the wrong direction, and all that does is it lets me know that it is working in proper order. And as I open up the hatch, I swear the next motherfucker that steps in here is getting tossed off the motherfucking side. Tossed! And as I try to open up the hatch, I find myself stopped dead in my tracks by the threat of what sounds to be one of the biggest and meanest airmen in the line, ADAN Quimby, a former defensive lineman from Georgia State. ADAN Quimby, a man that I once saw pick up two airframers by their collars, by each hand, then bash them together like puzzle pieces they ain't supposed to fit together. ADAN Quimby, a man with a peculiar penchant to say motherfucker a lot, not all necessarily because he's pissed, mostly because he's big, black, and southern, and he knows exactly what he's doing, which of course is knowing there's nothing scarier than a big black man from the south with a penchant to say motherfucker a lot. Motherfucker, blast ADAN Quimby again. Alright, something is definitely up. Those have to be more times than I've ever heard Quimby utter those words. Something is up, and now that I think about it, this might give me a good chance to squeeze on by without them really minding all that much or even taking notice. Maybe, I shrug. Then slightly open up the hatch a little more to take a peek. Inside I see two figures, one obvious ADAN Quimby, and another smaller figure that has his back to me that I can only imagine to be the IS-3 Falcone, mostly from his form and stature. One ADAN Quimby that truly seems to be pissed about something or another, pacing back and forth, up and down, then sideways before the IS-3, and the other who just stands there with his arms folded up, gently nodding his head in accordance to Quimby saying motherfucker with each entry. Ah, great. It looks to be like a lot of stupid silly shit has gone down, that, or is bound to. What the hell are these two scallywags doing here? And then I notice how Quimby seems to be fixated on a sight as he stares out towards a direction which I cannot see the ends of. But as I peek deeper into the shop to see what all the fuss is about, motherfucker, blasts out Quimby again, and then begins pointing all hoppin' mad at a bulkhead, which I can now clearly see, all marked up with big messy letters, "I yow yas bitches," and big red paint. I yow yas bitches what? This is some shit that not even I'm yet accustomed to, since I'm still practically an FNG to all this Navy slang and style and silliness. The best that I can make out is this must have something to do with our shop's rivalry with the AOs, possibly. FNG, a booter, a greenhorn, a fucking new guy. AO, a red shirt, a BB stacker, an aviation ordnanceman. And finally, PC, a brown shirt, or as everyone else calls us, a turd shirt, a line rat, a plane captain. Also, notice how every other title, which be unofficially safe for us, doesn't sound like something that you might find crawling its way out of a sewage pipe. There's a reason for that. Man, dude, fuck them AOs, fuck them BB stackers, writing out yas all over our motherfucking walls. Motherfucking shit, mourns a massive Quimby, and then buries his face into the palms of his hands, and then begins wallowing. A moment freezes over me and presumably the IS-3 as I see him cock his head back as mine does in the utter befuddlement. A moment of stillness, followed by us both losing track of our thoughts, as we turn our heads to notice Quimby and his whole whimsical and waggish nature of that of a big fat ignoramus child. Quimby? You are a character, and a special one at that, think I, as I sprout a quaint little smirk on the left side of my face, watching a man wallow some more as if he's serious, and the fact of the matter is, he is. No matter how inconceivable it comes to me, the man really is that proudly invested in his own comical behaviors and attributes, while being completely oblivious to how silly yet amusing it comes across to the rest of us. The man is all mouth and teeth, both in the physical and characteristic sense, which makes him out to be one of the most animated fellows I've ever met. I've seen 8-year-old children high on pixie sticks show more inhibition and restraint than him. I gotta say, them AOs have been getting pretty damn cocky the past few weeks, comments the IS-3, speaking finally. Hell yeah, they have, bellows ADAN. Pretty damn cocky indeed, repeats the third, then begins shaking his fist. But a bit out of character for him, I feel, as he over-exaggerates a bit much, throwing in a lot of fire and spit and silliness, my guess being to match the over-exaggerated fire and spit and silliness of Quimby's own, Falky's way of joining in on the fun. Man, dude, then it's time we do something then, cracks Quimby, then follows up with, roll him up, tie him up, the deep six the motherfuckers of Davy Jones and shit. The Davy Jones in? And as I try to wrap my brain around the WTF nonsense I just heard, I feel the wiring in my brain developing knots all over, intertwining into a jumbled mess. I don't know why, but I can't help but to find something grotesquely fascinating, seeing Old Navy talk being crossed with the contemporary slang and foul words of today. This being the 21st century 2003 AD. And in Quimby's case, that whole Georgia boy fried up catfish southern drawl, which he is such a blatant perpetrator of. It's as if watching a group of inner city kids performing a Gilbert and Sullivan opera and then watching them all forget half their lines and make up stuff on the spot. To Davy Jones with their bitch asses over the motherfucking side, shit, cracks Quimby again, making the abrupt scene come off way too genuinely for I and the IS-3's comfort, as the outburst nearly has us both imploding in from laughter, as we force ourselves to hold it in. Fucking Falcone, I can tell you're just playing along trying to get Quimby as riled up as you can, just to catch what other whiskey tango foxtrot nonsense he'll come up with, saying, and if we allow them to continue making fools of us, the whole squadron's gonna notice. The whole motherfucking squadron, cries out Quimby, shaking and lowering his head in damn shame, all dreary and woe is me like. The whole motherfucking squadron's gonna notice, breaks forth the third class bitterly again. Man, dude, I know, Quimby, I know. Motherfucking shit, ha! I chuckle once, louder than I should. For I just can't help taking this whole scene in any longer while taking it seriously. At least as seriously as these two shipmates of mine seem to be taking it. But the little moment I get of finding amusement in all this backfires as it alerts the two of my presence. The two PCs then face me, then eye me, and with the same level of anger and intensity as they had been eyeing that whole Ayahuas bitches crap that's on the bulkhead. Especially Falcone, the pint-sized mustachioed Italian from Jersey. What you doing down here, Navashin? Asked Quimby. Who gave you permission to come down here? Asked he again. And now, I have a change of heart for the lumbering Georgia boy. This doesn't sit well with me. As I eye up into the judgmental eyes of the massive ADAN, who questions me over the same matter I could just as well be questioning him over, it doesn't sit well with me that Quimby has his own bird up top, which he should be more concerned with. Yet now I'm the one that needs to be questioned. So, what you doing down here, Navashin? asked Quimby once more. More than I'm willing to take. And what are you doing down here, Quimby? Don't you also have a jet you're supposed to be on top of, up on the flight deck, Bird 103? Call out I. Motherfucker, responds the ADAN, with the same foul language I'm beginning to grow sick of hearing, especially coming from his lips. Says he, and then tries to stare me down, peering at me all sideways, as if to tip me over of my moment. And what aggravates me the most is this Quimby here. He's really just as much of an FNG as I am. No golden age PC, but part of my shitty age also. Just made qual before the cruise over a month ago, same as I did. He has no wings, he has no crow nor chevron, which would make him third. He's not even a shellback. He is as much of a fucking new guy as I am, but the only difference there being is favoritism. Good old favoritism. Coming from the likes of the IS-3 who now stands there next to him, all brotherly like. Mr. Golden Age Plane Captain Petty Officer Falcone. Golden Age. Ha! Which is a term he came up with to describe himself and his class of PC-manship in comparison to mine. Sebastian, get the fuck up there, and don't make me tell you again, follows up the third, while holding a weary eye over me, seeing as how I'm not budging to head back up. Not quite just yet, but as for Falky here, unlike Quimby, I could understand him being down here taking a load off, since he's second in command of the Line 4 Knights. Just below our LCPO, AEC Murdoch, and now, once again, I stare up at the ADAN as he continues to stare down at me, staring at me as if his station in life has unique circumstances involved, which don't pertain to me when his bird is also up top, unmanned, unchained maybe even, and at any time might have a yellow shirt rolling by to do a move. Freaking hypocrite. Listen, trainee, openly insults the third. Why you calling me dad? I made qual already, reply I. For I'm not going to be having any more of that, since making PC and no longer being obliged to be their own personal whipping boy, at least not in that manner. Oh, sorry about that. You just still come off as one to me. Insults the third, again, as he begins cranking up his ass as if it'll raise him up an inch or two. And as I stand there with my head slightly lowered, like that of a budding ram, seeing as to what other matter I might have to butt heads with, I notice a twinkle in the IS-3's eye, as a dastardly smirk extends over his pointy teeth. I then get the sense that I might have just overstepped my boundaries a little, seeing as how the IS-3 is still practically my superior, being a third, which still gives him final say of what goes. And now, great. Just great. For I see the same being done with Quimby, also with a twinkle, and also with a dastardly smirk extended over his own maulers, and with that, I now feel that it would be best to try and reason with the two over the matter, and before they decide to bust out with the duct tape, to fully initiate me unofficially of my PC status. And the hell with that idea. For I ain't no Roachburger, so no fucking way, no fucking how, and fuck all that humiliation. Hey, come on. Listen up. Listen, I'm just down here for a jacket. It's freezing up there, I plead. But my words of reason arrive to no avail, as I then see Falcone looking over at Quimby as he shrugs, followed by Quimby shrugging back, followed by the IS-3 redirecting his attention back onto me, and finishing up with him saying, I don't give a shit, get the fuck back up there. Well, let me at least get a jacket. Everybody's got one on already. They're all gone. And if there's any more left, they're probably in one of these boxes, and right now we don't have time for you to be here searching for that shit, explains the third. And looking around at all the junk pile of metal boxes stacked about, I get the irrefutable sense that my third might have reason, as much as I would hate to admit it. Hey, wait a sec, Navashin. You see that shit that's written up on the wall? Questions Quimby as he steps forth in my direction, and eyes me all suspicious-like. Yes, I respond as I get the sense I am about to be dragged into this matter, whether I like it or not. So I withdraw a little. But the IS-3 then notices me withdrawing from Quimby's questioning, having stepped back, now seeming overeager to leave as much as I was so a second ago to stay. Well, Navashin, what you gonna do about it then? Inquires Falcone. Now him seeming overeager of me staying, seeing as that I would like to leave. No, don't do it, Falcone. Don't drag me into your bullshitting petty squabble with those damn AOs, with those damn lunatics, damn pyromaniacs. I'm not in the mood right now. Well, what are you gonna do, Mr. PC? Snaps Quimby now, joining in on the fun. Hey, Mr. PC, Mr. Shithot Sailor, what you gonna do? Follows up the IS-3. As he and Quimby both begin taking small steps in my direction. Fucking A. And it now looks like they're gonna try and roll me up. Fucking A. Fuck these two assholes. What the fuck did I do? I've done nothing but freeze my nuts off up top for the last 6 hours. I didn't come down here to sign up for any of this crap. Hey. Rattles a fourth party member, now entering the scene and joining the crew. What the fuck is this? Demands this new entry, who sounds to be our 83 Rutabaker, who's now standing behind me. I turn around to take a look at him, but the 83 then shoves me aside as he steps through the hatch. The fuck is going on in here? Asks the 83 again. Then eyes us all with his usual air of precedence. Always the attention-grabbing figure is he, as he stands there in the middle, giving us all the look as if he's supposed to be the senior PC on deck, which, to my pleasure, given the current predicament that I am in, always has a way of crawling underneath the IS-3's skin. Well, what, Rudy? Responds Falcone, seeming a bit depleted now that there's another third class in the shop. The 83 then lingers a bit, taking up the shop spaces, while taking up our time, lounges a bit, stepping back and forth within the confines of the shop as he stares us all down, as if the only real explanation he's seeking is, why should he be wasting his time while wasting our own? And from the looks of it, beginning to royally piss off our IS-3. What the fuck is going on in here? Asks Rutabaker again while doing this nodding bit that he tends to do, while snapping his fingers from time to time, nodding while trying to pick up all the clues we've secretly been supposedly trying to stash away from him. And the snapping he does with his fingers signifies the eureka moments once he has. Alright, gotta say, just how much I love watching Rutabaker be this way, thinking he's so sly, so slick, and so clever, while imagining the rest of us all being a bunch of Joe Dumb, open-mouthed, seaman recruit schmuckatellis, supposedly a bunch of dumbasses. Feeling so self-assured of his game and thinking how it's leagues and leagues above ours. So much so we wouldn't even notice any of this taking place, for how could we? Us, seeing the shortcomings in him as he is capable of seeing in us? How could that be possible? The universe we live in has only allowed Rutabaker with that ability, so he can continue fighting the good fight of proving to the world how much better he is than the rest of us. Although I've managed to defy the laws of Rutabaker's made-up universe, and I've managed to see into his character and into his shortcomings. The fucking coward. What the fuck is going? Hey, Rudy, I center. Snaps the IS-3 impatiently as he begins thumbing at the bulkhead behind him. Back to that whole Ayawyaz matter. Rutabaker then nonchalantly strolls up to it, first showing how he doesn't give a shit. Him not giving a shit is something which we're used to, but is still willing to play along, to pretend to be, just for show. Strolls up, then eyes it a little, taking a gander at it from side to side from different angles like some snarky art critic would do to some painting in a museum. And then all of a sudden, all OMG sudden gasps, "Oh shit, they fucking with us now?" While covering up his mouth in surprise, but not really surprised since he's pretending to be so, since that's just be Rutabaker's own unique sense of humor, being that of an offbeat jackass holding on to everyone's attention as much time as he possibly can get, to his amusement and to our annoyance. Yeah, that's right, Rudy. One of them AOs managed his way in here and tagged us up good, while we weren't looking. Ain't that some motherfucking shit? Comments Quimby, smiling up at the 83 since Quimby always got his game and style. Only indicative reason I can come up with is that they're both black. 83 Rutabaker, who's pretty bulky figured dude himself, tall, widely framed at the shoulders, lighter skinned than Quimby's coal miner looking exterior, but for which Quimby jokes now and then for being red bone. For which the 83 doesn't seem to care much for. Some motherfucking shit indeed, concludes the 83. Then begins shaking his head in damn shame, then begins to gawk at the IS-3 as if to place that damn shame onto him. I'd call it passive aggression, but the level these two take it at, just about anyone could visibly see the manifestations of their feuding egos, practically rolling around on the deck, punching each other in the face. Duking it out to prove who's himthick here, dagnammit. And just as I begin to feel a bit at ease, a bit little, seeing as how the spotlight has been taken off me, for whatever reason, Rutabaker then decides to place it back on. Navashian, You down here again? Divulges Rudy. Again? Gasped Falcone. That's right, again. I caught him 2 hours ago down here trying to brew up some coffee. Son of a bastard. Rudy, you blue falconing sellout. And also, just so you guys know, Chief Murdoch caught Royster sleeping in an intake. And now he's on a rampage up top looking for sleepers and with a hydraulic bucket full of water. And if there's anything he hates more than sleepers, it's skaters. Illustrates the 83, then turns his head to eye me as he utters the word skaters. His way of stirring us all up with the thought that khaki might get involved, even from the likes of our Chief Murdoch, and because of me. And now, looking into the face of the IS-3, I see how Rudy has managed to do just that, stirring him up and all. Navashin, get the fuck up there, freeze your ass, I don't give a shit. If it's that fucking cold, then crawl up in your bird's intake to keep warm. Just don't bring Chief Murdoch's crazy ass in here. Blast Falcone, as he grabs me by my flight jacket and tries to jerk me around a little. Get your fucking meat hooks off of me, you freaking midget. Think eyes that grab Falcone's hand and pry it off. Ooh, he's feisty, retorts Quimby, and then wiggles his eyebrows a little while looking at me sideways. Yeah, I know, Quimby, I know. Seems like we still ain't done breaking this mule in. Comments Falcone, and just smiles. You know, the best to explain the line check and its functionality to the best of my abilities, it'd be best to first explain its part as part of our VF-451 squadron, and then its overall function as part of our U.S. Navy. VF-451 Bloody Shamrocks is our command, commanded by our CEO, one Commander Jägermeister, and what we are is an F-14 Tomcat squadron, stationed out of NAF Otsugi, Japan. Attached to the aircraft carrier, the USS Jimmy Carter, and we're a forward deployed air wing, meaning that we are always going to be the first ones deployed out into the world whenever some war or some military debacle has gone down. It's our job to be the first ones out there, to stare down our nation's enemies from the aiming sights of our fighter jets, destroyers, and submarines, armed with sidewinders, nukes, and Tomahawk missiles. Overall, we being the big guns of our nation's military, armed with enough firepower to shock and awe whole entire nations alone with our weapons of mass destruction. We be the big guns, the big guns. And a force more powerful than anything that has ever been seen, at least in the last 3 millennia of human civilization. Ancient Rome, the Persian Empire, the Han Dynasty, imperialistic Britain. Fuck 'em. Today they'd be nothing more than mere cannon fodder to the godlike proportions of our modern American weaponry and machinery would be capable of. They'd be a joke. With just our fighter squadron alone, VF-451s, amassed with 11 Tomcat jet engine propelled warbirds, we'd surely be able to devastate an entire nation's worth of army. That of today. Any third world nation of today would do. Any nation with a stand at the end, especially. And we'd be able to devastate them to the point of utter collapse. Just our squadron alone could do all that. So now, having taken that all into consideration, that whole bigger picture, as for our role in all this, within our division, our line shack, and with our parts and all of it as PCs, well, Navashin, you hard of hearing? Get the fuck back up there, before I rip off all your clothes and send your ass back up, naked. Explains Falcone. Well, as for our parts, our service to our squadron and fleet, honestly, I'm still trying to figure that part out myself. Falky, you can't do that to poor Navashin here. He needs his cranial at least, interjects Rudebaker, as he grabs my cranial out of my hands and keeps it. Actually, flight day requirements dictates he needs to at least also have on his flight jacket and Navy-issued boots, follows up Quimby, and I already know what this is all leading up to. Since the time I've been here, since coming out of A school after boot camp and being assigned to VF-451's line, since then, Falcone and the gang have done nothing but try just about everything to get to me, get their hands on me and roll me up some, like a joint, and then to have done whatever malicious thing else, as they deem fit. Doing such as they tend to do with whomever else they deem as the runts and shitbags in their litter. Hazing. Good old-fashioned hazing of the naval variety, and a truly favorite pastime of our maritime history, especially our shop's history, since most of the squid dicks we consist of are usually the fresh out of high school sorts, the ones with the least amount of A-school training, the most amount of testosterone and insecurities, since no other shop would have us do any real hands-on maintenance work on our birds. Such delicate and attention to detail work, which would require an actual human brain to function in doing so, unlike what our monkey-brained asses would be capable of. Anyways, back to the question I was illustrating before, dealing with the functionality of our line check in service to our ship and squadron. As hard as I try to have something respectable to say, novel to say, entitling, all that comes to mind is, we're just babysitters. All we do is babysit our aircrafts during a period of time when there ain't any better trained officials around to do actual work. For about 50% of the time, we will either be babysitting our jets or making sure they don't spring a leak and begin wetting themselves with their JP fluids all over, and the other 50% of the time bored out of our freaking minds and at each other's throats. For some time now, since getting to the squadron and making PC, this is what I've had to put up with. With all this stupid-ass line rat drama, dodging every attempt these ogres make, grabbing me bones and try to make bread with them. And now it seems like these fee-fi-fo-fumming motherfuckers are at it again. Get the fuck away from me, I bark out, as I see all three of them massing up together to take up arms against me. What's wrong, Navastian? What you worried about? What, the last time? I was only trying to get friendly with you. You didn't need to take it that bad. What Quimby is now referring to is the last time he tried to get physical with me, back on the beach, having put on some lovely Ashanti R&B music. Then having lowered the lights, Quimby here then told me how I had pretty eyes, all seductively, then tried to grab me and make some sweet, sweet, passionate dry humping love to my unfortunate backside. No, I'm not kidding about this. Hey, come on. I was only down here for like a minute. I only came down here because I thought I saw Ramshaw trying to come down here to our shop, and Ramshaw? AO3 Ramshaw here? Interrupts Falcone. It's interesting how the mind works sometimes, trying to figure out a means of escape while in the fight or flight mode. My mind decided to take the initiative step ahead, brainstorming one without me, and instantly coming up with the conclusion of fabricating a decoy, which these three would despise and way much more than I. Someone which they'd instantly lock onto as a more prioritized target. And once having decided that, my mind then took another step ahead, picking the right candidate for the job, and instantly interjected that person in as false memories, which led to me to then share it with the boys. And having all this done before I even knew what had happened. Gotta say, it's astonishing how quickly the mind can work sometimes, bullshitting up a storm. Yeah, I saw him down here. I thought he was looking for something, or maybe had a tool chip for something, some of our shit. I lie, and then begin wondering what else I'd be able to fabricate in my thoughts without my knowing. Fucking Ramshaw, huh? Goes all three. All but silence then follows, as a moment pauses over us all, while the three here, Falky, Rudy, and Quimby, begin picturing the squid dick jerk-off I had just mentioned, picturing that rambling AO jackass. AO3 Ramshaw, who is always standing out like a megaphone amidst his crew, shit-talking up something massive, with his cranky, unsettling voice. Not very much big on words and having the know-how of how to use them, but having this pestering high sense of self-esteem and assurance whatever he is saying is something grand, having much relevance, pertaining to some real shit that always demands attention, and always our attention. Line rats, smells in here, you bastards, sons of bitches. Damn it, where's the pest control at? We need a fumigator in here. You would hear him bellowing out at the top of his lungs, as his voice would start shriveling up and begin sounding like shrill whistles that would hurt to listen to, but yet still he'd continue to bellow out some more, and even louder, even when now sounding like a dying beached whale being crushed under the weight of his own lard, for the little dipshit is just that much of a pestering self-assured jackass. Ayo. And if you can imagine that all done with his Alabama ramble, you'd understand how grotesquely loathsome it would be to listen to, especially when smearing it out with a shit-eating grin and singling out the word gator out of fumigator just in case we'd forget where the rambler was a-coming from. Where motherfucking gators be in them there hills, rambling so bad that it would even start infuriating Quimby, whom you'd expect to be used to such ramble, considering how he comes from the same neck of the woods. Fucking Ranshaw, you say, huh? Wonders Falcone. Not looking at much of anything, nor me, but the new bullseye he had painted of the Rambler before his eyes. Another moment of silence, then pauses out, followed by a voice that begins announcing a helo landing on the black and white TV screen in the shop that's set on top of some filing cabinet. A small monitoring TV that's always stationed to the flight deck channel, always showing some birds approach in infrared. And in infrared, even during day check hours, when there's broad daylight outside, the voice always scrambling out something in a language known only as static, that can only be understood by a few salty sailors, which I definitely ain't one of. Scramble, scramble, niner, helo something, says the monitor. And then after that moment, fuck it, let's do it. Get every swinging dick in here, round up the shop, announces the IS-3, then claps his hands together all while making a call, claps them hard and then begins rubbing them to and fro together in excitement, energizing himself and all of us for what's about to be had. Oh, hell yeah, let's motherfucking do this, Bruce Quimby. About fucking time, sasses Rutabaker. I know, concludes Falcone. I, at this point, now get the sense that it's best that I try to step to the side and allow these three to have at it, giving them space to begin preparing their roll-up party, and hopefully without me. But once again, as I try to ease my way out of their sights, Falcone notices and confronts me about it. Oh no, Navashian, you're coming along too. You think you're one of us now? Well, it's time you prove it to me then, highlights Falcone. Yeah, about time he starts carrying his own motherfucking weight around here, blurts out Quimby. And now, another moment passes over me as I come to terms with what I've just set myself up for, as I see now how there ain't no escaping from any of this. But then again, wait a sec. Round up everyone in the shop. What's Chief Murdoch gonna think when he notices we've all skated off and are no longer manning our birds anymore? He's gonna go berserk, you know that, right? I rebut, hoping to dissuade them and still find a way out of this mess. Nah, don't worry. The chief won't be looking for anyone right now. I caught the old cornhusker fast asleep in Barbarossa's 104 inside the cockpit while I was up there just before I came down. We can do this, rebuts Rutabaker back. And with that, managing to royally piss me off some, as I recall him having warned us a few minutes ago how the chief supposedly was on a rampage up top, but now supposedly isn't, but is asleep. The 83 probably having just said all that to mess with me, and the IS-3, keeping us on edge with twisted information that would only serve the 83's amusement. Rudy, you shady fuck. Well, good. Then we're definitely not doing this, announces Falcone again. And I'm seriously pissed now, and a little disappointed. Seriously, Falcone? I was able to catch the 83 in a lie just now, the same one that was used against you. Are you really unable to pick up on such an obvious ruse? Or are you willingly choosing not to? And you're coming along. Try to chicken shit out like that again, Navashian, and I'll rip that PC badge off your flight jacket, the one we gave you after you made Qual, and then I'll shove it down your throat. Blast Falcone as he sticks his finger up at me and shakes it a little. You shove one down his throat and I'll shove another one up his ass, adds Quimby, and of course, the ass would be his preferred choice of entry. I stand there now, feeling a bit like I'm going to boil over soon with embarrassment. Aye, Rutabaker, who just snuffs at me then, with his arms crossed, and then walks off, and now I truly feel as if though I'm about to boil over soon. Well, Navashian, look at it this way, I think. Look at it on a lighter note. Do I really feel like heading back up to my jet right now? Since I could either be rolling around on the deck with Genghis up top, freezing my nuts off some more, or I could be rolling around on the deck in the warm arms of some AO. And as hanky-panky and awfully fucking gay as that all sounds, fuck it. I think I'll choose to be warm. Yet still, fucking Falky. And him calling me chicken shit. I ain't that.